You're listening to the Red Man Podcast.
Welcome back again to the Red Man Podcast. I'm Chris Mosley, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Kolby Cron. Kolby, how are you today?
I'm wonderful, Chris.
Well, good. We're going to start out a little bit different on today's show. Kolby and I usually chit-chat a little bit about things going on, but there's really nowhere else to start today but to talk about our good friend, Mr. Ken Davis, actually a friend of the entire pest control industry, if you really want to get down to it. Unfortunately, he passed away recently. It's been a pretty big blow to our company, something that I'm not going to say that it was a tremendous shock to us. Ken had unfortunately been in bad health for quite some time, and it just declined over time. We do want to spend a few minutes just kind of talking about him, honoring his memory a little bit. And we've actually got someone that Ken's known a very long time, and we have as well, Mr. Norman Louviere. We normally do a Tech Talk segment on these episodes at the end of the episode. Well, today we're not going to do one of those. We're just going to talk to Norman and just share a couple of thoughts and memories about Mr. Ken Davis. So I'm going to call Norman here real quick. He knows we're calling him today.
Redd Pest Solutions, Norman speaking.
Look at, well, I said he knew we were calling him. Hello, Mr. Norman. How are you? I like your official greeting.
I do that all the time.
Hey, no problem. Look, I told you ahead of time we'd call you. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk with us. As I was just telling Kolby a second ago, obviously it was a big blow to our entire company, and not really just our company, but the whole industry, pest control industry as a whole. It was a big blow to lose Mr. Ken Davis. And I know, Norman, you like me, and you go back even further than I do with Ken, but I know you've got a long history with Ken, and I don't know. I was just curious what some of your thoughts were right now on Ken Davis, or if you had any special memories about him you'd like to share.
My word, yes, Mr. Ken. I first met him in 1999. He was the training manager for new hires.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout that process, he ended up having to ride with me to do our driving training. And he and I just clicked.
Yeah.
And ever since then, he was my biggest mentor, and he pushed me as well as many others in the industry to either you loved it or you hated it.
You're right.
And that was one of his best phrases. Give it a year.
That's true. I heard that many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I was trying to think of what is the best way to start talking about Ken. And I'll just state the obvious here. Ken Davis was a small guy. Mm-hmm. He was short and he was thin. And I literally can only think of 2 times that I ever saw the man eat lunch. Yep. Instead, I think he smoked cigarettes for lunch.
And drank coffee.
But look, what he did not have in physical stature, he more than made up for with not only his incredible fashion sense that you hear a lot of people talk about. I heard Bevan the other day refer to him as a fashionista, which I think he would have loved that.
Oh, yeah.
But also his intellect. I mean, he was an extremely intelligent guy, and not just about the bug business and not just about entomology, just about anything, really.
About life in a lot of senses.
He was someone you could go to for sound advice if you wanted it and you needed it. You could go to Ken for stuff like that. And I think that's what I'm going to miss the most.
His favorite thing is whenever you asked him for insight, you had to be prepared for the naked truth.
That's true. He would shoot you straight.
We had the pleasure of being able to actually interview Mr. Ken in a video interview. So if you haven't seen that, go back in our catalog and take a watch at that. I have not had a chance as of yet to go back and look at it, but I know a lot of members of the Redd family have gone back to kind of reminisce on some of that. And one of my comments that I made, because I did not, like Chris and Norman, have the pleasure of working with Ken before working at Redd. And of course, he was at the tail end of his career and his time working when I came on board. But when I was with Terminex and elsewhere, just in general, I always would hear this name, Ken Davis, Ken Davis. And I always would wonder, and I talked about this in that podcast episode, who the heck is Ken Davis? Until finally one year at the MPCA meeting, somebody pointed him out to me, and he never met him before in my life, came up, shook my hand, said, "Hey, how are you?" Of course, we had our name tags on, so he knew my name from that. But ever since then, now working with him, I kind of understand what everybody else's perspectives has been on him. Is he does leave a lasting impact because of all the knowledge that he had, and he genuinely just cared about people and cared about where you were at currently and where you wanted to go, and he was going to help you get there. So I definitely second and third the mentor aspect that he provided to so many people out there.
And Norman, I think you had when he won or was nominated and eventually won for the Mississippi Pest Control Association Hall of Fame, you presented that award to him? Is that right?
I did. I had the great honor of giving him that award. I'm 5'11", big fella, brawly guy. I was a babbling fool that day, and I was very privileged to give him that award. He earned it on so many aspects.
He did.
Ken was one of, I think, only 5 or 6 board certified entomologists in the state of Mississippi, and he's been doing it a very, very long time. Very highly awarded, a lot of accolades and experience, and I think he's even published quite a few articles out there relevant to pest control throughout the years, working with different companies. And so if you look him up on the internet, you'll certainly find him, and I encourage you to do so. And because I think we all could aspire a little bit to be like Ken.
Yeah, there's so many people in this industry that he had a hand in their training and is a part of what makes them, who they are today in this industry. So, Norman, we do appreciate you talking to us for a few minutes about him. Any closing thoughts before we let you go?
No, sir. I'm glad y'all are doing this segment in honor of him, and I know he's looking down on us all.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for talking to us, Norman. And we'll have to call you another time and talk about something different, a little more positive. Unfortunate that this is your first time on the podcast to talk about a tragic event like this. But
we'll get you back on and talk about the hissing cockroaches next time. We promise.
There you go.
There we go.
Maybe you can get them to hiss on the phone for us. All right, Norman, you have a good rest of your day.
You too, gentlemen.
See you.
Thanks, Norman.
Bye.
So that was Norman. I know he, like many of us, it was emotional when we found out that we had lost Ken. I mean, even when you know someone is going through health struggles and you know that this is something that could the possibility is greater that it could be happening sooner rather than later, it's still tough. It's tough to say goodbye. We'll certainly never forget Ken. You mentioned the interview that we did with him. At some point last year, it was me, you, and Trip Brewer. We interviewed Ken for an entire episode. And I would encourage people to go back and listen to that episode. But with that said, I have a little clip from that episode that I'd like to play. I think it's appropriate here, where Ken just sort of kind of talks about what led him into the pest control industry. So just take a listen to this clip. Because this is something I don't know. As you were growing up, we all have aspirations to be astronauts and doctors and things like that. Was there anything in particular that you kind of aspired to be that wasn't pest control?
Yes. An oceanographer.
Really?
I wanted to be Jacques Cousteau. Until I saw the movie Jaws. My career path changed.
Jaws completely derailed that, huh? So that was why that's not your favorite movie then.
No.
All right. Well, how exactly, obviously, again, it wasn't a set career path. You wanted to be an oceanographer.
Yes.
You saw Jaws, said, no, that's not for me.
No.
Was there anything else that got your attention? Because what I'm aiming for here is exactly how did you fall into the pest control industry?
Well, probably like most people, I needed a job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was 18 years old. I was selling trips.
Yeah, it's funny. We were just talking about this.
I actually got a job in a grocery store
Oh, yeah?
over the phone. And I was living in Greenville, Mississippi, graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, I packed up everything and moved to Hattiesburg.
Really? I
didn't
didn't realize Hattiesburg was your first stop.
To go to work in the grocery store.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, that's a long way to go to work in a grocery store. Did they not have grocery stores in
It
Greenville?
was quote management training program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what lured me. I worked there about 8 months and was starving to death.
Oh, yeah.
Pay was not very good.
Yeah.
So I answered an ad in the paper that Orkin ran.
Okay.
So I became an Orkin man here in Hattiesburg.
Really? I guess I had in my head you were up around Tennessee for some reason around that time.
Nope, November 11th, 1979.
Wow, you remember
the
that
day.
sharp.
No, that was the day of what? Your first day with Orkin?
First day with Orkin.
Wow, you remember.
First day.
So that was a little bit of that interview, just a quick clip of him talking about how he got into the pest control business. I think it's interesting. I never knew until that day when we talked to him. I certainly never knew that he started out in the grocery store business. Never knew that. There's lots of other good information in that interview. I would encourage everyone to go back and find that episode where we interview Ken Davis. So he's gone, but certainly not forgotten. And I think unless you've any other closing thoughts about Ken before we move on, Kolby?
No, it's just my comment that I made when I shared the announcement on social media is if there was a Mount Rushmore for pest control professionals, Ken Davis would be chiseled in stone. He certainly was one of the figureheads for so many people in the industry, and he will not be forgotten.
That is a very good way to put it. All right, so let's move on. Look, we did another I said I was going to do more of these. And with college football season now in full swing and college basketball is going to be close after that, I thought, how many colleges out there have insects or insect-related mascots? And there were a lot more than I thought. Some of these colleges are actually pretty small.
Well, that's why I can't think of any really big ones.
But I've got probably how many do I have here? Six of the biggest. So the six biggest ones that I could find is the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets,
I thought of that one.
the University of Richmond Spiders,
I've heard of that one.
Fullerton College, which is a small college in California, the Hornets, Maria College, another small college in New York, and they are the Monarchs, the Butterflies. And then in Michigan, Baker College, the Bees, and there's one more here, I'm sorry. University of Arkansas at Monticello are the Boll Weevils. So, all different types of insects or even an arachnid thrown in there. And I just threw a survey out to our company, like which one of these mascots is your favorite? What is the best one for a college mascot? What do you have a preference? What's your favorite one?
I probably like Georgia Tech's.
The Yellow Jackets. Mm-hmm. So Georgia Tech is obviously the winner when I surveyed everybody. That one's easy to me. What I thought was interesting was the tie for second.
Boll Weevil.
The Boll Weevil was one of the.
I could see that.
Was a tie for second with the University of Richmond Spiders, each receiving 20% of the vote. Yellow Jackets, by the way, with 35% of the vote. And then after that, you've got the Fullerton College Hornets, and then tied for last, it's the Monarchs and the Bees. So I thought that was interesting and applicable right now to all the college athletics, sports and things that are going on. People are watching college football every Saturday. This is my favorite time of the year, not just because it's fall, but also because it's fun to watch college football. Unfortunately, only one of those is a college football team, or at least a big
Division One.
Division One. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Only one of them was a Division One team. All right, so I think we've got a pretty interesting episode today. It's all about spiders. I've got a spider. I don't know. Maybe some of you have heard of it. Some of you maybe not. But on our insect profile segment, we're going to be talking about the diving bell spider. Are you familiar with this one?
I am not.
Well, good. Maybe I won't have to play Thank You, Mr. Know-It-All.
I'll press it for you.
And then, as I said, we're going to stick with spiders because after that, you're going to talk about a spider I know everyone has heard of.
The Black Widow.
The Black Widow spider. That's even a Marvel character.
It sure is.
Black Widow.
Go ahead and point out to me which one's the Mr. Know-It-All button so I can press
that one right there.
The purple one. All right.
All right, let's go ahead and get started here with the diving bell spider. So that's the common name, diving bell spider. Some people call it a water spider. Females are slightly bigger than the males, 8 to 12 millimeters long for the females, 7 to 10 millimeters long for the males. However, the males have slightly longer legs than the females. That's one way you can tell the difference. As far as coloration, they have a brown body with fine hairs that trap air, giving it sort of a silvery sheen when it's submerged underwater. Now, you'll find these things in freshwater ponds, lakes, and any slow-moving streams across Europe and northern Asia. So not here in the States. They prefer still or gently flowing water with a lot of aquatic vegetation around. Now, they do live underwater. Almost its entire life is spent underwater, which is unusual when you think about a spider. You don't think of them as living underwater. But they use these hydrophobic hairs on its body that traps a layer of air, and it creates this silvery-looking bubble that stays around.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
Gotcha.
You just couldn't wait to do that.
Couldn't wait to do it.
But it kind of makes a diving bell. It builds a silk web structure that's anchored to plants, and it carries air from the surface using its abdomen and legs to fill this diving bell with oxygen. The bubble exchanges gases with surrounding water, and it acts like sort of like an underwater gill for the spider, so that it can survive.
So it's the bubble boy of spiders.
It kind of is. So you've never even seen a picture of them or video of it? I had seen video of them before. It's really interesting to watch, how they survive and how they move around under there. They do eat a lot of aquatic insects, as you can imagine. So a lot of small crustaceans, and thank God for this, they eat a lot of mosquito larvae. We need all the predators we can find to eat the mosquito larvae. It is an ambush predator. It waits inside that little diving bell for prey, and then when it sees something, it will rush out of the bell and capture it. So it doesn't matter, male, female, they both live in these diving bells. Mating occurs underwater, often inside the female's bell. She makes the man come over and visit her in her diving bell. Eggs are laid in a silk sac within that bell, and their lifespan is from 1 to 2 years, out in the wild. It is not considered to be a dangerous spider to humans, but its bite is known to be painful and can cause local inflammation, sometimes accompanied by a slight fever that resolves after a couple of days. And there was actually a study published in 2005 in the Journal of Arachnology that revealed an interesting insight into the spider's mating behavior. Females appear to prefer mating with large males despite the hefty risks involved in that. According to the study, they discovered that larger males occasionally eat the females in a case of reversed sexual cannibalism. However, their experiments also showed that large males and females would also kill smaller males.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
Yeah, that was perfect. Now, that was better timing. It's not endangered. This is not an endangered spider, but it's. I think everyone should be aware. Populations can be impacted by water pollution, of course, and the loss of clean freshwater habitats.
Yeah, I'll have to watch some videos on that. Seems pretty. I mean, there's a lot of very unique features to this spider that I've never heard of, at least in the arachnid.
Well, it's one of the most unique arachnids on Earth, in my opinion. I can't think of anything else like it. So, yeah, if you've never seen it, seen pictures of it, seen videos of it, they're easy to find. I'd strongly encourage everybody to go online and check them out. Now, we're going to move to Control Corner now, where, again, I know everybody's heard of this one.
Yeah, if you haven't heard or at least seen a black widow throughout your life, you're living under a rock. It's probably the most infamous pest that you hear about, because it's kind of one of the scarier ones, right? It's
absolutely.
It's very dark.
It looks scary.
It looks scary.
It does.
Very black, dark, ominous look with that very distinct red hourglass on the underbelly.
Scarlett Johansson played one.
She did.
In the movies.
She did. I don't know if she was quite as scary as the real deal, but definitely a good depiction there. Never seen that movie, by the way. I need to catch up on my Marvel.
You mean her solo movie?
Yeah.
I was going to say she's in a bunch of movies as that character.
That one. But so it's really the females you have to worry about. As with many things in the insect world, the females are the the villain, so to speak. They're the ones that cannibalize the males. Their nests are low to the ground, kind of real thin webbing, very erratic. They don't really do the nice patterns like you see banana spiders, orb weavers, house spiders make. They're really erratic with their nests. But obviously the reason why the black widow is so infamous is because they are venomous.
Right.
And they can cause quite a bit of pain. So typically if you are bit by a black widow spider, you can expect bite pain to really peak between 6 and 12 hours after the bite. And in some cases, you can have a process called necrosis take place, which is where the deterioration of your flesh, it basically breaks down from the venom and the toxins in it, and it doesn't grow back. So
Which sounds very familiar.
Very, very much
like
so.
the brown recluse.
Yes.
Similar, right?
Very similar. It interacts with the human biology a little bit differently. But yeah, if you get bit and it does take place and you do get necrosis, you'll have like a pitted area on your arm or your leg, which is typically where people are bitten at. But I've got a pop quiz question for you, Chris. Let's see how you can do with it.
Can't wait.
How many people died in 2024 from a black widow bite?
And worldwide or just here in the United States? Well, I would say 0.
0?
Yeah.
Good answer.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
Okay, I want to take the button away from you.
Hey, it's my first time with it. I'm flexing my muscles here really good. There has not been a recorded death from a black widow bite since 1983.
Yeah, I knew that was, people are scared to death of them, and you think, if you're bit, I think some people almost liken it to a snake bite.
Right.
And it's not
They
as
associate
serious.
it, yeah.
It's not as serious as a snake bite. It just hurts like hell, and it may make you wish you were dead.
Yes.
But it's very, very rare for that to happen.
So there's about 2,500 bites reported annually in just the United States. So I'm sure that number's more elevated worldwide, but not really as big of a thing to worry about. Obviously, if I were you, I would immediately seek medical attention because they may can prevent some of that necrosis that may happen if it's lingered.
Oh, they can still hurt you pretty bad.
Yeah.
At the end of your segment here, I've got a news segment I'm going to play of someone that did get hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you want to play around with, but it's in today's modern medicine and medical care, it's not a life-threatening situation. You just need to seek attention as quickly as possible. But really with control of black widow spiders, they're kind of an anomaly. They move and operate and hunt a little bit differently than other spiders. But honestly, one of the biggest things you can do is making sure that you reduce their harborage sites. They really like wood piles up against the house, garages with a bunch of clutter up against the wall, weep holes, cracks and crevices around the foundation, beneath the lights and different patio furniture. They're notorious to get underneath. They like those low-hung, cluttered areas. So do a good job sanitizing those areas, cleaning, picking up any unnecessary items, and obviously having a good residual pest control program around your house with some good residual insecticidal sprays,
Routine pest control.
dust formulations, and ultimately, as with many spiders, if you get rid of their food source, they're going to go find somewhere else to pester.
That's true.
Get rid of the general pests around your home, and that's going to reduce your spider population.
Yep. So that's it.
Yep.
That's all the
Pretty simple.
the most of the
There's
need to know
There's
information.
not
for
really
the,
any special practices as far as black widows go as there are with some of these pests we talk about. But like I said, it's typically always on the front of people's mind because it is one of those scarier insects. Most companies will have a clause about whether black widows are covered under
That's
their
true.
general program or if that's an additional service because there are some risk involved with going after them. But generally, just a good general spray and good monitoring sanitation practices will carry you a long ways.
Yep. So if you're not in the pest control industry and you're having an issue with these, obviously don't go trying to pick it up with your hands. You do need to call.
These are not pets.
No, they are not. You need to call a professional to come out and talk to you about what can be done to control and eliminate them, because I don't want you to end up like this guy.
Ask Wendy Brewer Thomas about her husband, Ronnie,
Like, he is the sole provider of this whole house.
and she'll tell you he's a reliable man, husband, and father of their 5 children.
He works in a warehouse. He does hard labor work, like pulling pallets and all this stuff, loading trucks.
Ronnie only misses work when he needs to take care of Wendy. She had a planned medical procedure coming up.
We were mentally preparing for that, so I thought maybe he was just stressed out and getting sick because he's worrying about me like he always does.
Ronnie Thomas was feeling ill, and he was getting worse.
I woke up in the middle of the night because he was coughing and stuff. But again, I thought he was just catching a cold.
He had a pain on his hand, put some medical cream on it to feel better, the only hint that something was wrong.
So I panicked and I threw it down and I killed it.
Wendy is talking about a black widow spider she found in her Montbello home. Days later, she found another on her husband as he slept.
There was one on his side of the bed that was crawling up on his hand, and I smacked it down to kill it, like it was in our bed.
After a couple of days, the family took Ronnie to the hospital where doctors found more issues related to a possible venomous spider bite. Ronnie was placed on a ventilator, spending days in the ICU.
On his brain scan, they seen how he's had strokes since he's been under. 2
strokes, Wendy says. The family's reliable Ronnie taken down by the venom of a spider.
Just to see him in this state over a spider bite, it's just, I'm trying to grasp it mentally, but I can't.
Wendy has a message to folks who might be bitten. Get help immediately before it's too late.
Know the signs when your body is telling you something. Know the signs, you know?
Man, that's pretty serious. Poor Ronnie's just trying to sleep at night, and he's getting black widow spiders on. So for them to be in the house like that, out in the opening, that is severe.
Yeah, black widows can reproduce very quickly, and they can get out of hand for sure. But you don't typically see them foraging about inside of a home like that. That would be more common of a brown recluse than a black widow. So that is pretty odd circumstances, I would say.
That occurred a few years ago. A year or two ago, but that clip was from Fox 31 out of Denver, Colorado. And speaking of Denver, Colorado, that was last year's site for Pest World.
Yep.
And I guess we'll close the episode by saying you and I are about to head out with some other folks from Redd to Orlando for this year's edition of Pest World. Kind of excited about that. And by the way, if you listen to this podcast and you see us out and about, hey, say hey to us.
How do you think Mickey Mouse feels about the Pest World Conference coming to Orlando?
I haven't thought about that. He's probably not thrilled about it.
A little nervous, you think?
He's probably, if he had a vote, it would not be occurring in Orlando, I would think.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thought was.
But hey, Pest World's great. The National Pest Control Association is obviously involved in that. But hey, on a more local level, I want to remind everyone, if you're in the state of Mississippi, you really need to be involved in the Mississippi Pest Control Association. There's a lot of benefits from being a part of that organization. And if you need help or direction on how to join, you can always reach out to us. And you can reach out to us about a number of things, a topic you'd like for us to cover, or a technician you'd like for us to call, or it doesn't matter. And what's the best way for them to reach us, Mr. Cron?
The Red Man Podcast at redpest.com.
That's the easiest way. And one of us should get that email and reply to you. So I think that's it for this edition of the Red Man Podcast. You got anything else, Kolby, before we end the show?
No, I'm just excited about the coming weeks. We are in the cooler time of the year, a lot of conventions. And speaking of the MPCA, the annual meeting is coming up in Natchez again, first of the year. The holidays are around and about. It's just a joyful, happy time of the year, and I'm ready to soak it all in.
It is. And hey, final thought from me, rest in peace, Ken Davis. Thanks for all you taught me. And we'll keep applying that in the future. We obviously won't let his memory go away. Everyone have a good week, and we'll see you next time on the Red Man Podcast.
Call the Red Man. Call the Red Man.